Welcome to Recap 1, Alice in Borderland, released the 10th of December 2020 with 8 episodes. Episode 1. In the opening scene which introduces Arisu, the Alice of the title. He's an avid gamer, he's very clever, but he's also a layabout, much to the chagrin of his stern father and careerist brother. He's clearly still harboring some trauma over the death of his mother, and he finds solace in his friends Karube and Chota, whom he meets up with outside the bustling Shibuya station. Arisu, Karube, and Chota's messing around earns them the attention of the authorities. And all three take shelter in a toilet cubicle inside Shibuya Station. When they emerge, the entirety of Tokyo, including Shibuya Crossing, one of the most famously busy junctions in the world, is deserted. And it really works here as the trio begin to poke around. All their phones are dead. Nobody is around. Behind them, a building lights up to inform them that a game will commence in a moment, and an arrow directs them to the arena where it'll take place. With no better ideas, they follow the arrow to the GM building, where they pick up new smartphones with face recognition software that relay details of the game to the players, who also include the severe Shibuki Saori and a sacrificial lamb whose name I didn't catch but who is only really present to make the players and audience aware of the stakes. Those stakes are pretty life-threatening. Once the game is underway, it has a border that instantly kills any player who crosses it with a laser. A playing card, the 3 of clubs, denotes the difficulty of the game, which is called Dead or Alive. The rules are simple. In a series of rooms, and within a shortening time limit, the players have to select the correct door out of 2 choices, marked Live or Die. There's a 2-minute timer on the first room, which eventually starts flooding with gas. Here's where the no-name girl is offered as a sacrifice to prove to the players that choosing the wrong door means instant death, though it's telling that she's manipulated into choosing by Shibuki. He leads the group through the right door each time, and despite Chota getting caught by the flames on the way out, they all make it out alive. Since the game was ranked as the 3 of clubs, that gives the winners a 3-day visa. To explain what that means, a random man stumbles into the alleyway to declare that he's dropping out of the game since it never ends no matter how much you clear. His visa expires and he gets lasered to death instantly, so we have our stakes set nice and high. The characters all have to continue playing. Right on cue, we see lights crop up all over Tokyo, presumably denoting the location of more games, as the camera cuts to a woman stood on a rooftop surveying the city. Alice in Borderland Episode 2 opens with the woman who functioned as something of a cliffhanger in the previous episode. She's literally a mountain climber, who promises the memory of her father that she's going to survive. Her name is Usagi. This little getting-to-know-you session provides some quick backstory for Shibuki, who was sleeping with her boss when everyone disappeared, but also ponders some more lingering questions about the overarching mysteries. For Shibuki, everyone disappeared 3 days ago, yet for the boys, it was only yesterday. The next game includes Usagi, Karube and Arisu. There are a total of 13 participants this time. The difficulty this time is the 5 of spades. A man named Naitobi explains what this means. The suits denote the type of game. Clubs are a team battle, diamonds test wits, spades is physical. And hearts, the worst category, force you to play with people's emotions. The number obviously denotes difficulty. The game this time around is tag, and the goal is to touch a symbol hidden in one of the apartments in the block where the game takes place while avoiding the tagger. After 20 minutes, a time bomb hidden in the apartment building will explode. There's also an additional complication. The tagger is wearing a horse head mask and is carrying a submachine gun. If he tags you, you're dead. But once the players begin being messily killed off by both the tagger and the boarder when they try to escape. It's only Usagi who responds to Arisu's shouted instructions when he determines that the tagger's mask limits his field of vision and that they can exploit that to defeat him. Having said that, a thuggish player named Aguni and his accomplice team up with Karube to physically take the tagger down while Arisu and Usagi search for the symbol. Anyway, both Arisu and Silver Hair figure that the symbol is in the apartment the tagger fired at from a distance the Mach-10 wouldn't be effective from. He was trying to keep the players away from the door. When they enter, though, they're attacked by another tagger and separated. Arisu makes it into the room with the symbol, but it requires 2 people to push 2 separate buttons at the same time, which he shouts out of the window. As Aguni fights one tagger and Arisu fights the other, Usagi makes her way to the room in the nick of time, and both she and Arisu, with the help of Silver Hair's taser, are able to clear the game with only a second remaining. The tagger in the room is revealed to be a woman wearing a collar that detonates once she loses the game. The episode ends with Karube finding a radio on Aguni's compatriot. The voice on the channel insists that the answer is in our hands now and implores everyone to get back to the beach. Alice in Borderland Episode 3 opens with the gang back together, pondering the beach as their next, most promising lead. But they can't follow up on it just yet since Chota and Shibuki's visas are about to expire, so they need to win a game. Arisu, meanwhile, is still struggling with the guilt of the tagger's death, which he believes was entirely his fault. Here, we begin to see stress causing some friction within the group. When Karube takes a slight detour to pick up an engagement ring from his former place of work, Chota snaps at him because he and Shibuki are running out of time. It's only fitting, then, that the next game is designated a Seven of Hearts, and is designed to test their relationship. This game, which takes place at the Botanical Gardens, is much crueler than the ones we've seen thus far, as it seems it's only possible for one person to win it. As part of the rules, everyone has to wear a pair of goggles. One person is designated a wolf and the other three are sheep. A lamb found by a wolf becomes the next wolf, and so on and so forth, passing the role of the wolf back and forth. Whoever's the wolf at the end wins, and all the lamb's collars explode. A wolf catches a lamb by making eye contact with it, so the idea is to become the wolf and then run away and hide. Chota becomes the first wolf automatically, but Shibuki quickly steals the position from him and legs it. Karube gives chase and they fight, while Arisu implores them to help him outsmart the game rather than just give in to it. Arisu is still mightily struggling with his guilt over the death of the tagger. We're treated to some flashbacks of Arisu's home life with his father and his brother Hajime, and also to a bit more of the central trio's friendship. With time running out, Arisu offers to drop out, since his friends are all that matter to him. He's the wolf, but when he runs out into the open, he can't find anyone. Nobody responds to him on the radio, and we see Chota drag Shibuki, his hand over her mouth, into the foliage. They're all hiding from him, sacrificing themselves for him. I was convinced that there was going to be some last-minute way out of this. But no. The timer ticks down to 0, and the collars explode. Karube's right in front of Arisu. Alice in Borderland just killed off 3 of its 4 main characters in just the 3rd episode. After the calamitous ending of the previous episode, Arisu is struggling. In fact, Usagi finds him collapsed in the middle of the road, begging to die. The first portion of Alice in Borderland Episode 4 gives us some welcome backstory for Usagi. Usagi's key relationship is obviously the one she shared with her father, a fellow climber who was accused of faking his widely publicized no-oxygen climbs, and subsequently killed himself. The loss of her father obviously deeply affected Usagi, so she knows how Arisu feels when he says he wants to die. He thinks he personally killed his friends and therefore doesn't deserve to live. She reasons that since they're going to die at some point they might as well eat while they're alive, and they do, and some progress is made. Arisu's visa is due to expire, so he needs to play another game, and Usagi wants to repay her for saving her life during the tag game, so they go together to the next challenge, which begins on a bus in an underground highway. A team is already aboard, a threesome who met during their first game and have cleared 3 more since then as a team. This game is called Distance, and is rated a 4 of clubs. The deliberately vague clear condition is to safely attain the goal, but everyone determines it involves running a significant distance. The problem is that one of the dudes they just met, Takuma, has a badly injured leg and can't do that, so he demands everyone leaves him behind. They do and set off running. Eventually, a distance tracker on the smartphone keeps notching up the miles. The group reaches a replenishment station which they're all too hesitant to drink from. So Usagi shares her little canteen with Arisu, and he shares it with everyone else. Further on, they come face to face with a big cat, it looks like a panther or some such, which pursues them in the other direction. Cezanne, one of the threesome, gets eaten, leaving behind only the guy with a wife and kid whose name I never caught. Let's just call him Family Man. Anyway, the next thing the group comes across is an old Royal Enfield motorcycle with a diesel engine, which should still run despite the suspected EMP detonation, since it doesn't have any electrical circuits. Arisu's plan, which admittedly is rather far-fetched, is to push the bike back the way they came and use the diesel in it to fuel up the bus and thus rescue Takuma. But just in case Usagi and Family Man continue running as they were. Having made it to what they believe is the endpoint, Usagi and Family Man sit down and have a chat until they're interrupted by jets of water bursting through the creaky doors at the end of the tunnel. As the metal begins to bow and more water begins leaking in, they set off running back the way they came at full sprint, hoping to outrun the tidal wave. Family Man isn't able to. Usagi, though, is saved in the nick of time by Arisu, who is able to drag her onto the speeding bus, which is promptly swept up and toppled over by the current. When everyone comes to, we see that the graffiti on the side of the bus reads "Goal." Their distance counters had been counting how far away from the goal they were getting. They were safe at 0. The bus was the goal all along. With their visas renewed, Arisu and Usagi decide to head to the beach next, and Arisu resolves to stop the architect of these games and return the world to how it was. subscribe, and turn on notification to get update recap Alice in Bonderland Part 2.